question before the house is, if I'm going one way, right, and I want to change the footwork, right, because I've now turned left, but now I want to keep turning left, but my right foot is in the back, and I need to change the footwork, I have two options to change the footwork. I either step forward with my right foot, or I step back with my left foot. Either way, it will result in my left hip back. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, well, why would you choose one over the other? In a practical sense, in the limited constraints of the room that I am in, I would choose based on, so if I'm here like this, I would not choose to step forward because I will come up into the screen. I would choose to step backwards because I will have more space to do the movement. In the real world, you don't necessarily have something as clearly barricading your space, and then it becomes just a matter of choice. Personally, I recommend you learn going both ways, pretty much in all contexts, because flexibility allows you to save yourself when you the flow, or allows you to flow through the, but there's no, I wouldn't say there's a better or worse way to do it. I would just say that both are options, and learning both is great. One of the things that I do teach in my beginner class, in class 3, is how to turn left and right with the chasing the sun, moving through space. So there's traversing space. So if I wanted to do all left turns from this side to the other side, okay, my footwork is wrong now. Instead of stepping forward, which would move me forward, I'm going to step backward and sweep. And then instead of stepping backward, which will move me back, I'm going to step forward to go forward and then sweep over. So this is to maintain all left turns. You could do the same thing for maintaining all right turns. And what you end up doing if you're traversing across space, so what I mean by traversing across space is you're moving across your stage from stage left to stage right. And it's named that way because that's how they do it in theater. It's from the artist's perspective out to the audience. This is stage left on my left. This is stage right on my right. If you're moving from stage left to stage right or stage right to stage left, you alternate your footwork. So if it's a left turn, I step forward, pivot left, step back, pivot left, step forward, pivot left. If it's a right turn, I pivot right, step back, pivot right, step forward, pivot right, step back. So it's forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, if you're traversing space. If you want to maintain the same, roughly, objective position in space relative to the audience. So let's say I want to be center stage the whole time. Instead of forward and back, I would pivot using a paddle step. So if I'm going to do a left turn, most of my weight would stay on my left foot. I would pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, step. And I'm always stepping forward with my right. That's doing an outward turn. So I'm turning on the outside of my left foot. If I wanted to use my left foot to turn, so for example, if you have a weakness in your right foot, although I think an inside turn is more difficult, I can do my right turns like this, where I pivot, step back, pivot, step back, pivot, step back, pivot, step back. And then you can do the same thing with your right foot, where if I want to do a left turn, which would be an inside turn on the right foot, I would step backward, planting on my right foot. Or if I wanted to do a right turn with my right foot, that's an outside turn, which I think is easier, but that is subjective. It really depends on many factors in your body. Rotate, pivot, rotate, rotate, step, rotate, step, rotate, step, forward. So outside turns, you step forward with the opposite foot than the direction you are spinning. So if you're spinning right, you step forward with the left. Outside, or for an outside turn. If you are doing an inside turn, which I think is the harder turn, you step backward with the foot that is opposite than the planted foot. So you step backward with the foot of the direction that you're going in. I'll demo it again. If I'm doing an inside turn to the left, I'm going to balance on my right foot. It will be an inside turn. I'm turning toward the inside of the foot. I'm going to turn left. I step back with the left foot because I'm turning left. I step back with the left foot. I step back with the left foot. I step back with the left foot. Yes, so if I want to turn left on the outside, I would plant on my left foot, turn, step forward, turn, step forward, turn, step forward, turn, step forward, turn, step forward. And then it's worth saying, when you're doing the actual turn, you can either rotate on your heel or you can rotate on the ball of your foot. I think what you choose depends on what's more comfortable for you, what part of your leg it torques, what the surface of the ground is, and what the surface of what's on your foot is, because the friction will make a difference. And there's no, I don't think there's a universal right answer or wrong answer for what the best way to do it is. So for an inside turn, you plant on the opposite foot of the direction that you're turning. For an outside turn, you plant on the foot of the direction that you're turning. So now I want you to step forward with your right. Step forward with your right. Pivot. Yeah, 180. Yes, and then we're going to step forward with the right. Pivot 180. 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 That's an outside turn on your left foot. Left outside turn on your left foot. Okay, now let's do the same thing, a left turn, on the right leg, which will become an inside turn. So if we have the left leg forward and the right leg back, but we want to make a left turn, we're planted on our right leg. So you basically should be able to lift your left like this. When you're doing these turns, you should think about 85% of your weight is on the standing leg or the leg that you pivot on. So if we're pivoting, doing an outside turn left, it would be the left leg like we just did. Now we're doing an inside left turn. So it's the right leg, which means you should be able to lift your left leg mostly up in the air and be balanced on your right leg. Okay, so in order to start, if your left leg is in front, you step back with your left leg. Because the rule is the same, you're always pivoting in the direction of your back foot. Then you do your pivot, okay, which will have your left foot be in front, but you keep your weight on your right leg and you step back again. And then you pivot, and then you step back again. And then you pivot, and you step back again. And then you pivot, and you step back again. So it's the same exercise we just did in terms of left turns, but the feet are oriented the opposite way.